Hey, what's up and how's it going, everyone? Well, I'm so glad that you have took your time to spend with me right here today on the MRB Wrestling Review Show. I'm your co-host, Mike McRock Wilson, and last night was NXT from the Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida. The show kicked off with a one-on-one match. It was Leo Kruger going one-on-one with Aloe Cal, and I've done my research on this guy, Aloe Cal, and I just found out that this guy is Ricardo Rodriguez, Alberto Del Rio's former manager. And with that being said, I like that they're using Ricardo Rodriguez in a different persona on NXT just to show what Ricardo could do under a different stage name and underneath a mask and some tights. You know, the Lucha Libre the style from Ricardo Rodriguez, and on NXT he's Aloe Cal. So I thought that was actually quite interesting to see Ricardo, have a wrestling match on NXT and see where it goes from there. Even though this match felt like a jobber squash match, it was really short as well. We never really quite saw the full potential of both Leo Kruger and Aloe Cal. So with that being said, it kind of started off really weird, and I thought overall the show was kind of poorly constructed. It almost felt like the show started with the match right in the middle or the second match. It was kind of like, okay, the audience saw the first match and then we cut right and we went to the second match that aired, and we kind of missed the first match. It kind of felt like that on NXT, even though this was the first match. So, with that being said, the show was really poorly constructed in that sense. I would rather see one of the matches, which I'll get to in a bit, as the first match, and have that on second, just to make it feel more believable while I'm watching the show. I want to get invested. We should kick it off with a bang. We never really quite got that. It just felt like it was a match that was kind of cut in the wrong moment. Also on the show, we saw Sylvester Lefort going one-on-one with Alexander Rusev, and we're fresh out of what happened last week when Alexander Rusev took out everyone, annihilated everyone, even his own partner and his manager, Sylvester Lefort. And I like that in this match, we never got to see Sylvester wrestle bit by bit. And there's a reason behind it, because we're so used to seeing Sylvester as a manager. And what I like, the little thing that I like the most about that match is when Sylvester tried to bribe Alexander Rusev with the money, and trying to get him not to destroy him. I thought that was genius on the part of Sylvester. But overall, the match was over before it was started. Alexander Rusev locked in that camel clutch move, and he got the victory. It was like 9 seconds long, or 10 seconds, which it felt like it was. I don't know if, they keep a record on how long matches are, but that's what it felt like to me. And what I also like is that we saw that mystery woman. Now we know her name is Lana. I didn't like how we got to see what her name was, because it was on the graphic on the bottom of the show. I would rather hear it from her what her name is, instead of having NXT show us what her name is. So, it's just one of those nitpicky things that I didn't like about the show. But what I did like is that she introduced Alexander Rusev, and it kind of reminded me of when Ricardo Rodriguez introduces Alberto Del Rio. So I think it might work out with them as well. But when Alexander Rusev won the match, it was almost like we were hearing crickets. Yeah, pretty much. So with that being said, that kind of fell flat in that area when Alexander Rusev got the victory over Sylvester Lefort. It just didn't really cut out with the fans, because I guess the fans really didn't know what to make of this new pairing of Alexander and Lana, because they were so used to seeing him with Sylvester Lefort and Scott Dawson. So I think this is one of those things where hopefully you get the fans to react, give them a few weeks to see where they can go from here with this new pairing. Also on the show, we saw the Ascension in a tag team match against Troy McClain and Travis Tyler. There was a couple of things I liked about that match, and there was another thing I didn't like. The only thing I didn't like about the match was that we never got to see Troy actually in the ring wrestling in this match. And, it kind of throws away the idea of a jobber tag team facing off with the tag team that looks great throughout the show. So with that being said, that was just another one of those things that just didn't come off right, because it didn't feel like a tag team match. It felt like a handicap match. And it was another match that was really, really short, and the Ascension got the victory over the Jobbers. And even though they do look good, I think it's time that we see credible opponents to face the Ascension for the tag team championships. And we should see something happening. Where's Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy when you need them to be credible opponents for the Ascension? What I did like about that match, however, was that we got to see Conor O'Brien do 3 snap mares in a row, and not a lot of big guys do that in any matches, singles matches or tag team matches. So I thought that was the only interesting part of that match that I liked. But overall, it was another match that kind of fell flat. Also on the show, we saw Mojo Rawley take on Taya Dillinger. I think I got that name right. And, there was only a couple of minor moments that I liked. That Taya Dillinger moment where he was jumping up and down, flexing his pecs. It was, a nice chuckle. And Mojo Rawley is hype. His stay hyped persona actually works for him. He does get that fan reaction from the crowd, even though he was only out for 2 weeks. It's working for him. And I would rather see that match go on first, because you want to kick off with a match where the fans want to get hyped and stay hyped throughout the show. And that would be the perfect opportunity to put that match on first instead of the LOL and Leo Kruger match. So with that being said, like I said, the show overall was poorly constructive. But what made up for it was the main event. It was Luke Harper versus Cassius Ohno. And I gotta say, Luke Harper actually looks good going solo on NXT, because he's an established superstar on NXT in the mix with the Wyatt family. And now that he's on Raw and SmackDown with the Wyatt family, he's known as, the big guy in the back, and Bray Wyatt is their leader. And when I saw him on NXT, it almost feels like he's kind of a leader on his own without the other two with him. So I kind of like how they're separating him on NXT as a solos guy, and they're using him in a group on Raw and SmackDown to bring the evolution up to the Wyatt family on those shows, and have him doing one-on-one matches on NXT where he's under the microscope as a singles competitor. And I like that, because the WWE is, very singles driven. And I think on NXT they're pushing Luke Harper in the right direction, and they're pushing him in the right direction on Raw and SmackDown, having him in that group, the Wyatt family. So with that being said, it's a win-win situation on all shows in the WWE. And with that being said, that match throughout. I thought that was well set up, and it really made up for their match that happened a couple of weeks ago where it was really short and it didn't really do anything for me. So with that being said, I like how this was the redemption match on both competitors in this match. Cassius Ohno actually looked pretty good throughout this match, and Luke Harper just dominated the match. He was playing with Cassius Ohno throughout, and what I like is that when Luke Harper hit that big move, Cassius Ohno would always kick out until Luke Harper hit his big finishing maneuver and he got the victory. So with that said, that match was well thought up in the fact that, Luke Harper is the bigger guy of the two and he was the guy toying with the smaller guy. Absolutely incredible. And with that being said, that match made up for the poorly constructive show on NXT. Next week on the show, we'll see a Divas Tag Team match. Summer Rae and Sasha Banks teaming up with Charlotte and Bayley. And what's interesting about this going into this match is that we see Summer Rae and Sasha Banks now out of the storyline between Paige and Emma, and we saw them backstage as well when they were exchanging words, and there's going to be build up to this Divas match. So I like how the bullies, the mean girls, are now taken out of this equation and just have Paige and Emma go one-on-one in the future. I like it. It was a good setup, and it's right for them to go this different path and take on Charlotte and Bayley, and it gives all divas on the NXT roster something to work for. And there's some nice, interesting elements going into this match. We got Charlotte and Bayley. Their little story is kind of interesting in the sense where we saw the Mean Girls trying to sway Bayley into joining them because she is the most childlike, vulnerable character of any divas on NXT. So it makes sense for the Mean Girls to try to get Bayley for them to join her. For her to join them, I mean. So with that being said, I'm actually looking forward to seeing what the outcome is going to be in this match next week. And the main event will be a 2 out of 3 falls match. It will be Corey Graves taking on Adrian Neville. And usually when there's a stipulation going into a match, it usually signalizes that this is going to be the end of a rivalry. Yeah, here's the thing. I would like to see this continue, so we'll see what happens next week on NXT. If this is the end, hey, I thought it was pretty good. But, it's just one of those rivalries I still like to see go on week after week after week and not get bored with it. And it's almost like they're ending this rivalry just a little bit, few weeks too quickly. That's what I'm getting out of this. But with that being said, I'm actually looking forward to this 2 out of 3 falls match against Corey Graves and Adrian Neville. And that was my review of last night's episode of NXT. I am your co-host for the MRB Wrestling Review Show, Mike McRock Wilson, and to all you MRBers watching, get plenty of rest and always do your best.